The Buffalo Bills list 7 players inactive today versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to talk about those 7 players that are inactive, as well as the keys to the game and how the Bills can come away with a victory today on the Go Bills podcast. What is up, Bills Mafia? Welcome back to another edition of the Go Bills podcast presented by GoBillsPodcast.com. I am your host and founder of the page, Brett McDurphy. Glad to be with you on this Sunday evening to talk about our Buffalo Bills, who will be traveling on the road to take on the 9-1 Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl runner-ups in last year. And this is going to be the toughest matchup for the Buffalo Bills this season, as they sit right now at 6-5, but they need a much needed win this week to go into the bye week. And then they will take on the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, after their bye week. But before we get into anything, I wish everybody hopefully had a successful and enjoyable Thanksgiving break. We had a long break away from the podcast. We had a couple weeks off, so we're back to normal schedule now, and we're actually in very good terms right now. Myself just got married, so I am now a week out being married. I have my ring on right now, as you can see, and I am officially married to the most beautiful girl in the world, my wife, Hannah York, who is by far the most stunning bride you could possibly ever imagine. So I wanted to let everybody know that's the reason why we were out of the show. We took a little hiatus, but we are back, bringing back all the content that you deserve, and rightfully we will get it back to normal. So I apologize for the long wait, but let's get into things with the Buffalo Bills traveling to Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field, one of the most hostile stadiums to play in. But the Buffalo Bills have listed 7 players inactive, and here are the starting 7 that will be inactive. I will show you guys real quick who they are. As you can see here, and I will put it on the overlay actually, which would be a little bit better for you to see. Bear with me 1 second. You can see the biggest name that was inactive, Deontay Hardy, is the biggest one that you'll see inactive for the Buffalo Bills. And then you can see guys like Dane Jackson, as well as a few of the other players that are normally inactive, but the 2 that were inactive for the Bills in Dane Jackson, as well as Taylor Rapp, AJ Klein, Jermaine Ifedi, Alec Anderson, Poona Ford. Those are the main guys. But the 2 that were hurt early in the week and had injury designations for why they were out, Dane Jackson and Taylor Rapp. Jackson had the concussion, and Taylor Rapp had a neck injury. They will be out. But as you can see, the Bills will have guys like Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer active, as well as having Damar Hamlin back in the lineup again this week, which is an incredible sign to see. As for the home team in the Kelly Green jerseys, that are one of the most iconic jerseys in the NFL, the 9-1 Eagles will have quarterback Tanner McKee inactive, but he will be the third-string quarterback if injuries happen. Rashad Penny, inactive as well. Josiah Scott, Lane Johnson, that's one of the bigger ones that's going to be inactive for the Eagles. Dallas Goedert as well at tight end. Another tight end in Grant Calcaterra, inactive. And Milton Williams, another inactive for the Philadelphia Eagles. But let's go over to the Buffalo Bills side of things, and I want to bring it up again, the inactives for the Bills. And the biggest name that's going to be inactive, Deontay Hardy, who was a member of the starting lineup for the Bills at the beginning of the season, now inactive and has been demoted to the 6th wide receiver on the team after the Bills called up Andy Isabella. Isabella will now be the number 5 wide receiver on the team, and probably will be having some carries in the special teams area as well, if not for Ty Johnson, who will probably get some carries on kickoff returns as well. But the Bills felt like they weren't getting enough out of Deontay Hardy, and they're calling up Andy Isabella to fill that slot wide receiver role, especially with Trent Sherfield being the other guy that's been playing the slot position. The Bills just felt like they needed to move on and find somebody else that could fill the roster spot, which is one of the areas that I'm okay with the Bills doing, because they needed that guy that can be in the middle, that can really get the tough catches over the middle and create first downs and short conversions for the Buffalo Bills. And I feel like that's going to be Andy Isabella's strength for the team this year. So the Bills have decided to not get rid of, but make it a healthy and active in Deontay Hardy. But that could be a one-game thing, or it could just be a schematic thing where he doesn't fit in the Joe Brady system. And that could be a sign for what the Bills are going to do later on in the offseason. Maybe the Bills decide that they are going to move on from a guy like Deontay Hardy, who signed a 2-year contract worth a little more than $9 million. We could see them moving on from him at the end of the season. Now, for the Buffalo Bills on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to have a couple of guys that the Eagles have inactive, which is going to be a good sign for them. And Lane Johnson, that's one of the inactives. That'll help the left side of the Bills defensive line. And I'm glad of this, because now you're going to have guys like Von Miller as well as Greg Rousseau, who are rushing the right tackle. This will be a backup right tackle that's going to be in for the Philadelphia Eagles today. And it's going to be Jack Driscoll that's going to be in for Lane Johnson, starting at the tackle position. So you will see another tackle out there for the team. For the Bills on defense, they have a few injuries right now in Dane Jackson, and they also have Taylor Rapp injured. But they will have Rasul Douglas out there on the field, who had 2 interceptions last week for the Buffalo Bills. He's been the ball hawk that we imagined when we got him from the Green Bay Packers, and I think he's going to fit in very well for the Buffalo Bills. You also add in Micah Hyde coming back this week, which is another great sign, and that's going to be a perfect fit for the Bills defense that's going to need every piece out there going up against the brotherly shove, which is the most important play that the Eagles run. As for the Bills and how they can come out of this game with a win and the keys to the game presented by GoBillsPodcast.com, it really comes down to the Bills being fundamentally sound on offense, defense, and special teams. It's going to be very important that they don't commit stupid penalties out there on the field. You got to be very, very sound football. You cannot shoot yourselves in the foot. That's going to be one of the keys to the game for me. As far as the offense goes, you're going to have to get the ball out of Josh Allen's hands very fast, because this defense of the Philadelphia Eagles is very good, and they're able to not only get the ball out of their – or they're able to get to the quarterback very fast. So Josh is going to have to get the ball out of his hands very quickly in those circumstances. The Bills also are going to have to run the ball a little bit in this game, and James Cook's going to have a big game as well. Not only in the running game, but in the passing game. You're going to have to see James get into the backfield and get the easy catches. Rely on guys like Deion Dawkins, who's done a wonderful job in run blocking, to be able to set up the pull blocker, and when he is pull blocking, it'll set up big gains for James to get downfield. The Bills on defense are also going to have to do a good job of dictating the line of scrimmage, not only on the defensive side of the ball, but on the offensive side of the ball as well. They're going to have to dominate the line of scrimmage. If they're able to do these things today, and Josh has a good game where he doesn't commit a lot of turnovers, that's going to be the keys to the game for how the Bills can come out of this one at 7-5 going into the bye week, and then they will have a week off to prepare for the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, as well as on Threads. And also don't forget that we will have our halftime show immediately following the first half of the Bills and Eagles game. Let's get out of this game with a win, which will be an important win to set up the Bills for another postseason run, which we cannot wait for. And I believe that they're going to do everything in their power to be prepared for this game and come out of it with a much-needed win right now. This has been Brett from the Go Bills Podcast. We will see you next time for another edition of the Go Bills Podcast. Until